Hi and welcome back to my channel. If the creek don't rise, my name is Angie and I'm glad you are here with us for one more week of delicious home cooking. This is good food made easy. I'm going to show you what I did with the whole chicken in my Dutch oven. We got a couple of meals minimum out of that, and then stay tuned to the end because I am going to show you how we took taco night over the top with this fun and easy cheesy twist on tortillas. There's just something about prepping vegetables, knowing that you're getting ready to make a big pot of chicken noodle soup that feels so homey and cozy and nostalgic in a way. That's what I was doing there, getting those veggies ready to go in this Dutch oven. Isn't this so pretty? This was a Christmas gift from my daughter-in-law Hope and our son Riley, and I just love it. It's just so pretty. And so this is going to be its maiden voyage into the oven for a whole chicken. I've used it here on the stovetop, but never to put in the oven, and I'm excited today to use it for that. So here are all my veggies all chopped up. I did quite a bit of carrot, celery, and some onion, and I'm just going to saute that here in this olive oil. I'm going to put a little bit of the Tone's onion salt in with that just to give those veggies a little bit of flavor, and then that is going to be the base for the chicken to sit on. Okay, so apparently I thought I was recording and I hadn't been. So the chicken is in the pot, and here's what I used. More of the onion salt, paprika, thyme, parsley, garlic powder, and I'm going to use, that's sesame seeds. I set the wrong thing down. Oh boy, I am not using sesame seeds. Black pepper. That's the last thing I'm going in with here. Wow, this just looks so beautiful. And my oven's ready. I've got it on 425, and I'll probably do this. I'm just saying off the top of my head here about 2 hours, but we'll see. I'll let you know how long it takes. I'm going to have the lid on it, of course, and this is going to be chicken for chicken noodle soup and sour cream chicken enchiladas later in the week. All right, the last thing I need to do is pour in some chicken broth, and I can get this thing in the oven. This just looks so beautiful and homey and perfect. Here's hoping that it will be. Well, it did not disappoint. Look how beautiful this chicken is, and look at the rich color of that broth underneath. It turned out just perfect. So I removed the chicken from the broth and let that cool a little bit so I could handle it. And I am just going to begin the act of carving this thing up and getting the meat off the bone. And so it really doesn't take that long at all. It was very tender and the meat just came off the bone quite easy. Now what I did do, since this skin had so much of that yummy seasoning on there, which by the way, I didn't measure the seasonings. I just seasoned with my heart, so I just kind of put on what I thought looked right. So you can see there, I just flipped that skin over and kind of rubbed that seasoning on the breast there, and then I went ahead and just put that whole piece of skin into the pot, and I'm just going to let that sit in there until I can get some of this chicken off the bone, and then I'll remove that. But what that will do is get all that yummy seasoning off of there and into the broth. So you can see here how easy this is just coming apart. So I'm just going to put the amount of chicken into my pot for my chicken noodle soup for what looks good. And it probably wound up to be about 2 cups or so, I would guess. I went ahead and did a mix of white meat and dark because I knew that would provide some really good flavor. This did bake in the oven right about 2 hours, and I will put below a recipe link. I looked up Ree Drummond, the Pioneer Woman, her recipe for chicken noodle soup, and I just kind of used that as a guide. I will not have exact measurements for what I did below. Like I said, I used that as a guide. And in my opinion, this is something you can just kind of make and season as you go along. And you'll probably get it right as long as you don't get it too salty, I would say. So again here, just getting all the meat off of this chicken and moving it right over into that kettle full of that delicious broth for the noodle soup. From my pantry, I just got out this bag of the wide egg noodles just from Walmart. It's a 16-ounce bag, and I'm going to use about half of that. So I added additional chicken broth to bring it up to the amount that I needed. I just used the dry chicken bouillon and made it according to the package direction for the broth. And then I just poured in a half a bag of the egg noodles, and I'm going to cook those according to the package directions as well. It doesn't take very long at all. Look how yummy this looks. You can see the richness of that broth. I think that just really getting a good flavorful broth that makes your chicken noodle soup so good. Let me tell you, this did not disappoint. I don't make chicken noodle soup very often, and I really should. It's so easy and it's just hearty and good for you. We absolutely loved it. I remember several years ago, James made a homemade chicken noodle soup that was so good. So we got to start making this more often. All right, here's what I served alongside. This is real similar to the Sister Schubert rolls. These are just the Kroger brand, Parker House little yeast rolls, and they were the perfect side to go along with this chicken noodle soup. You can see it's still steamy here. Got some black pepper on the top. Yeah, this was simple, delicious, and definitely a winner. Homemade chicken noodle soup just is over the top. So if you haven't made one in a while, add this to your dinner plan. I don't think anyone would be disappointed. We did have a little bit of soup left over, so this is what I served alongside the soup the next day. I bought these at Kroger on the little 50% off markdown rack. They were still so fresh and moist and soft, and so I picked those up. There was 4 in the box, and so I decided to go along with the soup because there wasn't a whole lot left. So to go along with that, this second time around, I just decided I was going to make us some ham sandwiches. So I just pulled our favorite toppings out of the refrigerator and put together these yummy sandwiches, and they were so good. We love sandwiches anyway, but having a specialty everything but the bagel croissant like this really took it over the top. And then I had never seen these Hidden Valley Ranch bugles, so we had a few of those on the side. They were really yummy. If you're ranch fans, you would like those. And so this made a delicious sandwich to go along with that leftover soup. Now this here is a bowl full of the rest of that chicken, and you can see just how much chicken came off of that whole chicken that we did in that Dutch oven. It was a lot of chicken. So I am making sour cream chicken enchiladas. So into my bowl here, along with the chicken, I did 1 can of rotel, and I did some seasonings. I used garlic powder, and I used some of this onion salt. I'm not measuring these seasonings other than just by shaking them in and stopping when I think I have enough. So just kind of season up how I want it. There's a little chili powder that also went in, and along with the cumin. That's going to all just give it some good Mexican flavor. So in goes the diced tomatoes. Those are the rotel, so that'll also give some good seasoning, and just want to get that mixed up really thoroughly. Now, interesting note about this particular night, I have gone through and lightened up these clips because we had no power this day for a long time. And so I was making this all without any electricity. So it was a little dark in my kitchen. It was a stormy day. But we managed to have some yummy dinner anyway. Um, Now I'm going to go ahead and move to the sauce. So I've got 1 can of cream of chicken soup, 1 can of diced chilies. About the equivalent to the can of cream of chicken is what I use for milk. And then I just scooped in some sour cream. I actually had my cookbook out and I showed this recipe a couple videos ago on a grocery haul when I was getting the things to make this. So I will have my recipe down below in the description box. Be sure and check there. This is a recipe that I came up with myself. I think I had tried a few and then just kind of settled on this one, but it's been a long, long time since I've made these. It's been several years. So yeah, we're just going to get the sauce all stirred together here. And then I'm using my handy dandy little cheese shredder. I tell you, this thing is really great and quick for shredding up block cheese. And block cheese just melts so much better than the pre-shredded cheese that you buy in the bag. So here's the block cheese ready to go now that it's all shredded. So I just filled the tortillas with chicken, going through now and adding in cheese. So these are really flavorful on the inside, not just the outside and the sauce, but you're going to get a really flavorful enchilada on the inside as well, with all of those seasonings and the tomato and the cheese and the chicken. So I've got these all here in my casserole dish. Now the sauce is coming on top, and I'm going to put some cheese, shredded cheese that I reserved back, and bake these in the oven. We thought for sure our power was going to be on. In one of these clips, you could actually, James actually said, here comes the power truck, but it was still a couple hours even after that before the power was restored. So we ended up having to pull the generator down from the barn, get it hooked up that way. I could have just put these in the fridge and baked them the next day, but there was really no reason we should have had a power outage. There was no rain, no storm. It had been earlier in the day, but it had long since passed. But it just took a while for the power to come back on. So I was able to bake these through the help of the generator. This actually, I was just trying to fill the time. So I had a pie shell that needed to be used. And so I ended up making a chocolate chip pecan pie. And I did not record anything other than what I'm showing you right here. But I will definitely make this one again. It was the first time that I've made this recipe, and it was so, so good. So just look for that one coming up. This is just a little clip that I did take. Again, we thought for sure the power was going to be on way sooner than it was. But like I said, James hooked up the generator, plugged in the oven, the stove, and look how yummy these turned out. We were able to have a yummy dinner despite the fact that we didn't have any power. And these were delicious. I was going to make some sides to go with it, but again, we just thought we'd go with simple this night. So be sure and look below for the recipe for these enchiladas. All right, you guys, tonight we are doing a leftover makeover. We are going to be using this rice to kind of add a new component to some leftovers that we are using. Remember last week in the video where I showed making the buckeye beans? Well, those beans are going to go along with this rice, and let me show you what else we're going to do. Here's where it gets good, guys. Make sure you do not have the pre-shredded cheese because it's not going to melt the right way. But you want to get a hot skillet, and I put some cooking spray in my skillet this first time around. This is the first time I've ever done this, so I was kind of experimenting. And then I just put a good little amount of cheese there, and I'm going to fry that cheese onto my soft tortilla. So you can see the oil kind of coming from the cheese there. Like I said, this was my first time to try this, so I'm just kind of seeing how the whole process is going to go along, and here we go. Once I flipped it over, you can see where the cheese spread out all over the tortilla, started to fry up and soften, and I just flipped it over so I can fry the other side as well. These were amazing. I cannot wait to make these again. Now, I did kind of experiment with the next one. I didn't put the cooking spray in the pan. That one, I just let the oil that was in here from this one do the job. And it did not get the cheese didn't spread out as much. It had a whole different look. I'm going to show you that too. They were both really, really good. Here is what the second one looked like. So it definitely crisped up more. Of course, the skillet was a little hotter this time around. I don't know if I preferred the first one with the softer cheese or if I liked this one better. They were both so good. Here is what I have to go on my tacos. These are the, I think they're called Just Bear, the chicken that I have been showing several times in my videos that I get at Costco in the bag. I did those in my air fryer, and that is going to be the meat for our tacos. Look how yummy these taco shells look. And so I just put a fair amount of chicken on these tortillas with all the cheese. And then I'm just going to put the fixings on here that we would like on this taco. This was, I tell you, it was just over the top good. I love a good fried tortilla like this anyway, but having the cheese fried first and the tortilla on top, I'm telling you, you gotta try it. Here are the leftover beans that kind of inspired this whole meal. I wanted to use these up. These were the Buckeye beans that came like the box kit that I had. I showed this a couple videos back, and we just served these over that little package of Mexican rice. Those are so good and quick and inexpensive. Put some fresh cilantro on the top, and like I said, we just dressed our taco how we wanted it. This meal was so good. I'm going to be redundant if I just keep saying that, but just trust me when I say how good it was. Get yourself some block cheese, shred it up, fry it up in the skillet, throw your tortilla on the top. You will not regret it. You may not eat tacos another way. All right, guys, that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you got some good dinner inspiration. So glad you came back another week. Give this a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you've not. And I'll see you next time around. Good Lord willing and the creek don't rise.